All right, today we're going to dig into something pretty wild. It's a story about a hidden software bug, a real ghost in the machine that was found lurking inside one of the most advanced and incredible planes ever built, the Airbus A380. It's a question that honestly gets right to the very heart of modern aviation. I mean, you gotta remember, planes these days are basically flying supercomputers. They're just as much about lines of code as they are about wings and engines. So, what happens when that code has a ghost in it? Okay, so I want you to just imagine this for a second. You're in the pilot seat of an A380. Everything is going perfectly. You've just taken off, and this absolute beast of a plane is climbing powerfully into the sky. It's a totally routine but super critical part of the flight, something that happens thousands of times a day all over the world. And then, out of absolutely nowhere, something goes wrong. With no warning, no alert, no command from the crew, two of those four massive engines just power down. Now, they don't shut off completely, but they drop to idle thrust. All of a sudden, you've got this huge, dangerous imbalance of power. And the craziest part? The pilots didn't touch a thing. This single event, well, it pulled back the curtain on an invisible threat. A genuine ghost in the machine, hiding deep inside the incredibly complex systems of the A380. So, what on earth was going on? Well, investigators had to go on a digital manhunt to decode this glitch. And what they found? It was pretty shocking. It turns out that a completely normal, everyday action by the pilot was the trigger for this really abnormal and potentially very dangerous error. And this is the absolute key thing to understand here. There was nothing wrong with the engines themselves. The hardware was perfect. The problem was 100% in the software. It was a tiny flaw, a bug, hidden deep inside the plane's central computer, its brain. And that brain has a name, the PRIM FCGU. Now, the easiest way to think about it is like the plane's central nervous system. It takes what the pilot does with the controls, and it translates all those intentions into precise actions, moving the wings, the tail, and, yep, the engines. It is a ridiculously sophisticated piece of tech. So here's exactly how the dominoes fell. It all started with a super routine pilot action, moving the thrust levers back a tiny bit, from max takeoff power to a standard climb setting. Simple, right? Well, the flawed software completely misinterpreted this simple input. It thought the pilot was commanding a go-around, the procedure for aborting a landing. And because of that totally false assumption, it sent out a bogus command. The result? Two engines suddenly throttled back to idle, right in the middle of a critical climb. The entire difference was literally just a few lines of code. The faulty software, called Batch 7, made that dangerous misinterpretation. But the new fixed software, P13.6, it saw the exact same pilot action and correctly understood it as just a simple power adjustment, keeping all four engines providing stable climb power. The ghost was in the code, but thankfully, so was the fix. Okay, so when you find a bug this serious, you can't just, send out a memo and hope the airlines will fix it. No way. This is when the regulators have to step in with a mandatory order to make sure every single affected aircraft on the planet is made safe. And that mandatory order is called an Airworthiness Directive, or an AD for short. And let me be clear, this is not a suggestion. It is a legally binding order. If an airline doesn't comply, their planes are grounded. Period. It's one of the most powerful tools regulators have to fix an unsafe condition. And this is it. The official directive from the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, or EASA. Giving a specific number like this is what makes it real. It turns it from just a technical problem into a formal, trackable, and legally enforceable action. And this directive was comprehensive. It applied to every single A380 of these specific models anywhere in the world. It not only mandated that the software be replaced, but just as importantly, it strictly prohibited anyone from ever installing the old faulty software again. This basically slammed the door shut on the problem for good. So the moment that mandate is issued, a countdown begins. The clock is officially ticking for every A380 operator around the world to get their entire fleets updated. The directive gave every airline a 9-month window to get this done. From the moment it becomes effective on September 24th, 2025, they have until June of the following year to get the fix installed. Now, 9 months might sound like a lot of time, but when you're talking about updating a global fleet of massive, complex aircraft, that requires some immense planning and coordination. And the airlines basically have two ways they can comply. The ideal path is a simple software update. It's pretty low impact and can be done during routine overnight maintenance. The other option is to physically replace the entire FCGU computer, which costs more, takes longer, and can really mess with their maintenance schedules. The choice really just comes down to logistics and what's most efficient for each airline's operations. Now, I know it's easy to hear a story about a software bug in a plane and get a little nervous, but this story is actually a perfect example of why the aviation safety system is so incredibly effective. And the most important clue is buried right here in the official directive. I want you to notice these three little words, during a training flight. Now, just let that sink in for a second. Think about what that really means. It means exactly what you think. This ghost in the machine was found by pilots in a completely controlled, safe training environment, most likely in a simulator or on a non-passenger flight. It was discovered, reported, investigated, and a fix was mandated before a single paying passenger was ever exposed to the risk. The system worked perfectly. This whole story just reveals the incredible layers of safety that caught this ghost. It started with proactive pilots in training. That was backed up by robust oversight from regulators, which led to a mandatory fleet-wide fix. It's a system built on this amazing global cooperation between the manufacturer, the airlines, and all the safety agencies. It really makes you think, doesn't it? For every single issue that actually makes the headlines, you have to wonder how many countless others there are just like this one. Ghosts that are caught and corrected in the shadows long before they ever have a chance to become a real threat. It's really a testament to all the unseen, proactive work that goes into making flying so remarkably safe.